How are we going, folks? It's good to see you again. Before we start today, I want to extend a thank you to everyone who's wished me well on my recovery. I have a very cool scar on the back of my finger and I am slowly gaining more mobility in my hand. I also now have a piece of metal that's attached to my bone, progressing my transformation into a cyborg. Today we are actually talking about a game that I was sent. As I said before, when people send me games, I still try to give a fair and balanced review, though I am very grateful to have been sent them. If you have a game that you would like me to review, I tend to prefer physical copies over digital, but I do accept either. You can actually email me and my email is in the description. I'd love to see what you're working on. Today we are talking about Partners by Stephen D. from Tin Can Games. Partners is a setting neutral game, meaning it can be whenever and wherever you and the other player want it to be. Partners takes most of its inspiration from crime and police procedurals, but that doesn't mean you are limited to that format alone. I really appreciate that Partners acknowledges the faults and pitfalls of the genre that this game is inspired by. In 2022, we can't deny that the people that we are told are here to protect society often do the opposite of that. In addition, they take time to acknowledge that the people who often appear as victims on these crime shows tend to be marginalized people that we are supposed to view as a strange other. Perhaps instead of modern-day law enforcement officers, you can create a game that is a neo-noir setting or a sci-fi cyberpunk location. This is a game that is primarily for two players that uses a deck of standard cards with the jokers removed. One will play the straight shooter, the other the wild card. This sets up the roleplay dynamic between the two characters. One likes to follow the rules and dots their I's and crosses their T's, and the other might rub people the wrong way and use more unconventional methods to bring justice. There are also a few other roles that the players will divide up between them. These are your general cast of characters that you would find in a procedural. Things like the superior, the subordinate, the oddball, and the touchstone. There is an option included in this game for this to be more than a two-player game by dividing up the smaller roles between the rest of the players. The primary focus of this game is mechanically written to be the partners, though. Not only does this game use a deck of cards, but it also uses a word generator. Generally, these word generators are online for free. The murder mystery of the game is actually revealed as you play through the card flips on the deck. At different stages of the game, the cards will represent different things. For example, for the victim found, the number represents a profession, the color gender, and the suit wealth and status. These act as prompts for the players to fill in and create more interesting details. This game guides the player through the various stages of the procedural, getting the case, examining the victim, talking to suspects, gathering evidence, and closing in. These stages are called the teaser, branches, roots, poison, and fruit. These stages tend to follow the arcs we find in our police procedurals, including a section on how to create a satisfying B-plot for your game. These stages change what answers players will find from the deck of cards and the word generator. An example of how the word generator is incorporated into the game is in one stage, the players might be looking for a piece of evidence. The wild card will generate a word and roleplay off of it. This will then inspire the straight shooter to examine or discover a piece of evidence. There are also guidelines of how the two archetypes will be roleplayed. The straight shooter is going to be using more orthodox methods, while the wild card might have a strained connection or they would go outside of the law to get the answers. I really enjoy the card drawing aspect of this game, especially as they note any cards that are drawn will always get shuffled back into the deck. This might mean you might draw the same card at a later stage, which could result in some interesting experiences and interesting scenes. In this game, the mystery is only fully solved when the player draws the last card of the game. That way, while both of the players are role-playing and building a potential case, there's always an opportunity for a twist. Each session is a new mystery to be solved. It is suggested that a campaign with an overarching theme or character development will take about 9 sessions. But this game also works really well as a single standalone game. Apart from the rules to this game, this manual has a lot of little suggestions on how to run this game. From your more well-trodden paths about consent, how to roleplay, and how to let go of the awkwardness, to more specific things, like the thing I mentioned about the B-plot. I like that this game manual was published as a compact little book. It reminds me of those sort of B-grade mystery novels you'd see at train stations or when you're traveling, and it fits really comfortably into a bag or a coat pocket. We also have a few really interesting illustrations throughout of who your potential crime solvers might be. I think if you have good synergy with a mate, this could be a really fun little game to play. While it's definitely possible to adapt this game to be played by a larger group of people than the suggested 2, I don't see enough mechanics for those side characters for it to really work out in a fleshed out game. I think if you've ever enjoyed a crime procedural, this would be a really fun game to check out, and the rules are pretty light and roleplay based, so it's definitely a game for the role players. There's not much combat involved. There are still chances for the excitement and adrenaline you would find in this genre. Overall, I think this is a really fun, portable little game. I was really grateful to be sent this by the creators for me to review. I think it's a game that's got a lot of room to play around with while still having a very specific and interesting flavor. So those were my thoughts on Partners from Tin Can Games. Have you ever enjoyed a crime procedural? If you enjoyed today's episode, I encourage you to like and subscribe. It just encourages me to keep going, and it shows that I'm doing something right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time at the gaming table. Bye!